You're listening to the Basketball Lab podcast with your hosts Mark Shannon, Mark Clark, and Marco Corona. They'll discuss all the top news and stories from around the basketball world while giving their opinion and insight. Now, here are your hosts.
Welcome back to another episode of the Basketball Lab podcast. I'm your host, Mark Shannon, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Mark Clark and Marco Corona. Boys, it's been, 2 weeks since we've been here. You know, the holidays kind of changed a lot of things for us, but, the NBA season's full swing. We got already 2 weeks into the season.
Yep.
We had some surprises, some teams fall on their face. So far, I know one of the big things, obviously, being from Toronto, you know, we're always we'll get right into that, especially being from Toronto, the Toronto Raptors. They've struggled to start the season. They're 1-5. You know, they got the Phoenix Suns tonight, who have been probably arguably one of the best defenses in the NBA so far to start the season.
Yep.
But what do you guys think of their start so far? 1-5. Were any of you guys expecting them to start this way?
I'll let Clark go first.
Obviously, none of us expected the Raptors to start this way. It's been somewhat of a hot mess inside of a dumpster fire instead of inside of a train wreck. Is
Yo, you're coming in hot in 2021.
What it is. I'm just coming in hot because honestly, it's been frustrating watching these Raptors, man. This is not the team that we know, and this is not how this team should be. I mean, we've seen them play. They basically have the same team from 2018-19, except Kawhi, 2019-20, except Serge and Marc Gasol. So they didn't, yes, if the value of these players that are not with the team anymore, they did lose a lot, but they didn't lose that much. But I honestly don't know what's really going on with them. I don't know if it's just if they're just missing Toronto, their original home court. That could be a thing, because we all know the Raptors, they feed off the fans, off their energy, and they love to play and put on a show in front of their home fans. So that could be. We basically saw the same kind of stuff going on in the bubble when they went to the bubble for the second half of the season. So it's basically just a carryover right now. So one, it could be that they're just missing their home court, because obviously they're in Tampa. What they're realizing now, that the fans that are showing up in Tampa aren't necessarily cheering for them.
Some of them were actually booing the last game.
Yeah, these fans are actually cheering for other teams. So it doesn't feel like their home court anymore. So that could be one of the things. Other than that, obviously they're really missing Serge Ibaka right now to give them that boost off the bench. They really could use his help, but I don't know, man. I don't even want to get on Pascal case so early because I have a few things to get off my chest when it comes to Pascal.
This is a safe place, man. You can go ahead and do it.
Shout out to Fred VanVleet, because he's still holding it down. A bit disappointed in OG's start so far. He's for the past 2 years you've been hearing this year is OG year. He's gonna be the breakout player. He's gonna be the one to give the Raptors a push, and it's literally the same thing every year. He never really excels to the expectation or meet the expectation. This year, he's nowhere close to that. So they have some early struggles, and it's starting to get moved from bottom tier to middle tier as to the urgency of them start winning a game. and it will be in panic mode soon, as if it depends how the next couple of games go. But instead of me just ranting on here, I'm gonna let Marco jump in for a second, and then because I still have a few more things to say. But
you gonna be okay though, or like are we gonna have to
my blood
re-record
pressure
this?
is going up, bro. I just
don't
need
understand.
to...
Like it's 2021. Like this is not, let's just take it easy there for a second, eh?
I don't know, bro. 2021 is hitting different, man. It's not supposed to be like this.
No, and I understand that, and I'm going to sort of play Switzerland here, and I'm right down the middle. And I'm be a little bit neutral because I first of all I agree with pretty much everything that you said as far as the struggles and the start. But I think the key word here is the start, and we're not in game 32 or 35 of the season. I don't really know if this team has found its identity yet, and it's not an excuse. I think it's factual. There was a significant turnover, not necessarily a number of players, but the who is in and who's out, right? Yeah. So, and it's kind of funny though. I don't want to get sidetracked, but everybody and their mother wanted to run Marc Gasol out of Toronto, and now people are like, "Well, we were missing Marc Gasol, right?" Yeah. So, careful what you wish for. Anyways, I thought I'd just throw a little bit of shit in there. Fact of the matter is this: you mentioned Fred VanVleet, and I'm gonna add Chris Boucher.
Chris Boucher, shout out to Boucher.
I think he's been good. He hasn't been like tearing it up. I don't think he's been elite, but he's been good. He's had a couple of meh games.
Yeah.
But I think that everybody else does not get a pass, right? If Chris Boucher is your second best player, and this is with all due respect, and I think we can all agree that Chris Boucher is a nice player. He's hard worker. We all like him here in Toronto, watching him for the last few years. Then there's something completely wrong with his team. Norm Powell has been trash. OG has been inconsistent.
Trash.
Pascal Siakam has struggled since basically the second half, the restart of the bubble. Oh, sorry, the original start of the bubble.
Yeah.
We have not seen that. And forget the contract, because I know a lot of people are connecting the two. Forget it. The guy has not played it. I don't care if he's getting paid $25 million or $1,500 a game. It doesn't make any difference to me. He has struggled, and he needs to figure it out. But overall, the team has not played well at all, right? No. And you've heard Coach Nurse basically tear a new a-hole out of Matt Thomas, out of Terrence Davis, the minutes that he's played, and other guys who have not played consistent enough defense for him to warrant some playing time. So, and also, I think this team lacks a little bit of size, and right now their confidence is a little bit shattered. I almost compare it to a baseball team where 2 or 3 guys struggle in the top of your lineup, and you only have one guy who's hitting eighth, but it's contagious. One guy struggles and everybody struggles. And all they're looking to do here is win 1, 2, 3 in a row here, 3 or 4, 5 of 7. And you're basically right back where, in that sort of that mix. And I was telling you guys the other day, I think the first task at hand is to get back to 500 before you start, getting into panic mode. I'm not into panic mode yet. I think it's a lot frustrating. What this start has revealed is the obvious. What we know is last year's bubble hit a lot of the obvious holes that this team has, right? And they're not strong inside. What are they? Bottom third in rebounding, right? Their defense has lacked for whatever reason, which is really odd. That to me, that's the surprise about this team. The team defense that has been very shaky. So they don't rebound well. The turnovers have been atrocious. The guard play has been inconsistent. And so this team has not gotten their momentum. And their best players outside of Fred VanVleet have not been the best players. I mean, you get what you get from Kyle, and I'm not throwing him on the bus, but he's been okay.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm not going to give him a pass totally. The entire team has been bad, right? But all it takes is 3 or 4 games, 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5, and then they're okay. If this team was, so they're 1-5 now, right? As we record this.
They're 1-5.
So that's 6. If this team is 3-3, we're not having the same tone of conversation, right?
No, but they're 1-5.
But they're 1-5. So you are what your record says you are, as Bill Parcells used to say. So they're a 1-5 team right now, and we'll see what happens. But we need to figure something out. But I'm not panicking just yet.
I know you say they're lacking size, which yes, they are. But you know what they're lacking overall? Toughness.
Balls?
They're You're playing like
You
a
can say
bunch
it.
of bitches out there, man.
But you and I have had this discussion for a few years now, and when the
Yeah.
Raptors went into these slumps and these streaks, there was no nasty, right? Like Kyle Lowry is Kyle Lowry, North Philly's finest, blah blah blah, the Bay Street Bulldog. But these guys are a bunch of nice guys, and I feel like that sometimes is missing, right? And I completely agree with you. I'm not calling these guys soft because I think that sometimes it's such an overrated narrative to say, but
They just
there's
lack the
no
toughness. There's no like
there's no like
fight back. There's
don't come down the middle. I'm gonna take a tech just because, and then
yeah,
just to let you know I'm here. And I know the NBA
yeah.
has changed. It's not the Knicks versus the Heat back in the '90s, but I don't know. There's a
Like,
little bit of
where's Markieff Morris when you need him? Like, and it's true. Or
right. So
Drummond or someone, please, even Serge, please.
right. I mean, like I
Like,
said, I still think that this is a good team.
yeah,
I think that they have the right pieces. I just think that right now they're not firing on all
yeah.
cylinders at all. Right. The
And
problem is the confidence, right?
yeah,
And
you also touch on a few points that I have. When their defense has been absolute trash, turnovers killing them, like completely killing them. No one's rebounding. Like they
right. There's
someone
no
takes a
presence inside.
shot, they just stand there and watch the ball go up. No one tries to go get the rebound, whether it's offense or defense. They just stand there. Like, guys, you're playing a ball game here. Like, do something. And the next thing I really want to touch on is their scoring drought. They'll be up 10. They go in a scoring drought. The next team goes on a 20-0 run, and next thing you know, they're down 10 points. Like, I don't get it. And this is every single game. It's consistent. Every game.
And I know Shannon wants to get in here because I know he has a few more cents to say. But what you just said is not, to me, it's not a surprise because we saw this last year. We saw this very team. Forget Gasol and Ibaka for 1 second. We saw this team go into these droughts similar to what they're doing now, but now they're excessively highlighted because the defense is not bailing them out.
Yeah.
Right. So just like I know Shannon, you watch a lot of football. It's like when your defense is on the floor, on the field a lot, your offense is like they're going to get tired eventually. Yeah. Right. The difference here is between football and basketball is the same people that are playing defense that are playing offense. You're chasing the game all the time now, and that's the problem. And basically now what it's highlighting is the obvious holes that this team had last year. And like I said, I don't know. To me, is get back on defense, on the defensive mode, and then things will hopefully fix itself. But until then, we gotta, just live through the struggle.
Yeah, I mean, we know what this team is, and we they were the same team as they were last year in a sense. Like they play the same style. That's not going to change. Nick Nurse is going to play a style that and that suits these players. They're the fifth fastest team in pace of play this year. In regards to that, but offensively, like you guys said, like they've been absolutely horrible. They're dead last in field goal percentage. They're dead last. Like you're talking like the bottom of the barrel. They're not scoring.
Right.
They're hiking up 3-point shots like the Houston Rockets. You know what
I mean?
They're
allowing 5 more points too than last year.
But exactly, and that's what I'm saying. And then we look at defensive rating though, like they're in the top 10 in terms of defensive rating. So I mean, they're obviously not that bad on the defensive end,
but they haven't been consistent.
But they haven't been consistent enough, and they also haven't been good on the offensive end.
Yeah.
Everything starts with the defensive side of the ball, and we saw that with the Raptors when they won their championship. They were good defensively, and their offense came to light, especially in the playoffs when they struggled in those first couple of games against the Bucks, and stuff. Those other games they came back. The scoring came back. Eventually, the offense will come back, and we've seen that with this team throughout the years and especially the last couple of years. The defense is always better than the offense. It's the beginning of the season. It's a short turnaround. Like a defense is always going to be there first because defense is taught to you when you're a young player. You know what I mean? You're taught to play tough, hard defense. In regards to that, but I mean, yeah, the problem is also the Raptors live and die by their starters. They're right now, right. Especially they're living and dying by their starting five. Fred VanVleet's not scoring. Kyle Lowry's not scoring. Pascal Siakam's not scoring. do you have to rely on OG Anunoby or Norman Powell because they're not getting production from anybody from the bench other than Chris Boucher? He's the only guy producing off that bench right now. You know what I mean? You need
which is great.
Exactly.
It's great, but
exactly.
He shouldn't be that guy.
And you know, like Siakam, I mean, we all get on Siakam, and I get on him too. And you know what I mean? I mean, is he ever going to be that star player? I don't know if he's going to ever be that franchise cornerstone that everybody wants him to be, and his contract says, and all that stuff. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate that he kind of blossomed that year with Kawhi, and it was his contract extension year. Because if he didn't blossom and didn't play as well as he did, he'd probably be getting paid what, $10 to $15 million a season, maybe a little bit less than that, and people wouldn't be expecting the world from Pascal Siakam. But because he was so good that year with Kawhi Leonard, he came into the next season, signed that huge contract in the offseason, came into the next season, and everybody expected Pascal Siakam to lead them to the promised land. And everybody's got to remember that the guy's only played basketball for what, 8 years?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Years. Like,
preach, my brother.
You know what I mean? He's played for 8 years. Like, and like I said, it's unfortunate that he came into his own that year that Kawhi Leonard was here. And Kawhi Leonard helped him a lot in the sense of because of nobody was double teaming him. Nobody was, taking the ball off of him. He was able to get open and get better matchups. They know Pascal Siakam is one of the number one scorers on that option, one of the number one options on that team. So they're forcing him to get off the ball. They're forcing him to stay at the 3-point line. Pascal Siakam's not a guy that also drives to the hoop as much as he should. For a guy that's got his body size and his lankiness and all that stuff, he tends to stay outside the 3-point line, and he only attacks when he knows he's got a chance to get to the hoop. He doesn't take fouls, doesn't try and attract the fouls like a Jason Tatum does, or players like those ilk where they've got the same size, same body size, same length, and all that stuff. He doesn't do it as often as he should. If he does that, I think Pascal Siakam could be that elite superstar talent that he can be, that we saw from the Kawhi Leonard years, the 2019 year. But he doesn't do it. And a lot of that, I think, is, like you said, Marco, confidence. It's in his head because of what happened in the bubble, all the talk that's happened after the bubble and all that stuff. I think a lot of it has to do with confidence. And I think that's what this team needs. They need a little bit of confidence going forward. It's a tough road swing now. They get 4 straight games on the road against the Suns. They play the Suns tonight. They've got the Kings, the Warriors, and the Blazers in the next 4 games, right? So, you're on a 4-game Western Conference road swing a little bit. If you can pick up 3 out of 4 wins, that's a good trip.
Yep.
Especially out in the Western Conference. So I don't think it's time to panic. It's a 72-game season. There's a lot of time left for them to get back on track. It's not dead in the water, so I don't think Raptors fans should panic just yet. I mean, if they go 0-4 on this Western Conference road trip, then I think there's something up there, and something might be. They might need to start panicking at that point, but like you said, it's still early. It's only 7 games into the season, or 5, going to be 6 games into the season, 7 games in the season. You know what I mean? So I don't think it's time to panic yet.
Listen, in this 4-game road trip, and not to sound like a loser's mentality, give me a split. Give me 2-2.
I agree.
Yeah,
great, fantastic. I don't care where you get the 2. Give me 2-2. That brings you to math quick 4-7. Right? Is that right? Yeah. 3. Yeah. 4 and 7. No, 3 and.
No, 3 and 7.
3 and 7. Okay, yeah. That's fine. Give me 3 and 1. Sure, I'll take that any day. You sweep. Everybody forgets that they struggled.
I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at the schedule, they should at least, I think, be competitive in terms of at least finishing as a split.
Yeah.
You got the Golden State Warriors. Yes, they've got Steph. Yes, they got Draymond Green. But other than that, Andrew Wiggins has played pretty well the last couple of games. But other than that, the Warriors don't really have much. You know what I mean? They're kind of in the same boat as the Raptors. They're kind of in the same boat as the Raptors. They don't have the depth. Sacramento, they're not that great of a team. They've been playing decent basketball the last week or so, but they're not that great of a team. Portland is another team that, they got Dame Lillard, they got McCollum,
but they're flaky.
But they've been struggling. They haven't been consistent so far to start the season. So there's a chance to get to 3-1. And Phoenix has been really good this season so far, but Phoenix isn't an unbeatable team.
And for what it's worth, and I know it's way too early to look at the standings, even if they were to win tonight, that gets you 2 wins. Yeah, that brings you a game and a half behind Brooklyn. So, like, for everybody who was, including myself, who has the Brooklyn Nets in the NBA Finals, so like, if you're going to panic about the start, then you got to look at the overall picture.
Yeah.
Guys, Brooklyn's 4-4.
It's still early times. It's still early.
They're 4-4.
I was just thinking how it's funny how quickly things change, eh? Because last year, if we look at this road trip with these 4 teams, we'd be like, that's an easy 4-game win there. The Raptors would be able to win those 4 games easily.
You would actually argue that they can win 5 games, and they're only playing 4.
Yeah, basically.
Right.
And now this season we're like, just split, just give us a split, and we're comfortable with that. Like, but again, it's still early days, as we all said. There's nothing to really panic about. If they go on this road trip and they don't win any, then hit the panic button.
But by the way, sorry, I know that we are recording and this will be delayed, but can somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but does that say that Bradley Beal has 57 points?
I think you're correct on that one. Let me just double check.
57 points, and it's the end of the third.
57 points at the end of the third. They were like, that's surprising though, because before we came onto this podcast, they were down almost 15 points to the 76ers at one point. So they're down
Impressive.
2 now. Yeah, they're just starting the
Bradley
fourth.
Beal, or is it James?
No.
Harden.
No, it's Bradley Beal.
He's 19 for 29 from the field, 12 for 13 from the free throw line, and 7 for 8 from the 3-point line.
Yeah.
We are live and in charge, boys.
Right, exactly.
This better not be peak 2021, or else I'll be pissed.
But we're talking about early starts before we go on to the next thing. There's been a lot of games also, and it's funny you said about the defense. There's been a lot of games that have been completely out of proportion. And I think through the first 2 weeks, there have been more 30-point wins since like 2008 or something like that, which is ridiculous. So again, the defense is way behind.
And how about that Brooklyn and Atlanta game where they just completely forget to play defense? 145 to 141.
I don't think they forgot. I just think they didn't. They just said forget it.
Optional, if you feel like.
If you feel like it, walk, but it's not mandatory.
Yeah.
Right, so, but again, a very early in the season, a lot of teams still trying to find themselves, and we actually talked about this on one of a few podcasts back, that it will be interesting to see the start of the season, short gap between the playoffs and this, and how would teams adjust to all these changes, right? How will teams with a lot of changes adjust, and injuries too? And there's been a lot of injuries in the first 2 weeks, unfortunately, which you hate to see, including today. Marcus Fultz went down with an injury. I'm not sure how serious that is, and that kid cannot catch a break, and that's a terrible pun, but facts are facts. So
and he's been playing well to start the year.
Yeah, so have the Magic, right? 5-2 or 5-3, whatever it is. So it's too bad. It's too bad to see.
So I mean, the season's just underway. It's only been 2 weeks. We're going into the third week here. But what are some surprises so far that you guys have seen? Whether it's teams, players, whatever it is, what are some surprises you've seen thus far? Whether it's good, bad.
I guess I never thought I'd say this, so I'm just gonna say it. The New York Knicks have surprised me a little bit. If we're talking way too early, then yes, it's way too early, so we can edit this and delete it and whatever it is. But I think the New York Knicks under Coach Tibbs have played actually well. They're 4-3, which is okay for them, right? I mean, I don't expect them to keep this pace up. I think they're going to come back down to earth. But I think that they have been great. Noel has been great. I think he's been really a surprise to me. I know he's just got hurt just recently, which is unfortunate. Again, talking about injuries, but I think the New York Knicks start has been really surprising to me as far as I'm concerned. Noel's start has been great. And again, good for them. I don't expect them to keep up this pace. I think the Knicks, midnight will strike and they'll go back to being a pumpkin.
Yeah.
But that's one surprise to me. The other surprise to me, to be honest with you, is the Portland Trailblazers. Other than the injury which happened last week, I think that they're off to a mediocre start. And I feel like the Portland Trailblazers, for whatever reason, always get a pass. I don't know why. But I mean, again, way too early to tell. But I'm surprised that they have been so mediocre. I thought they'd try to come out and establish themselves very early. Like, the Lakers look like they haven't missed a beat, right? 6-2 to start, and I don't think they're actually even playing that great, which is scary. But I think, between the Knicks as a good surprise and the Portland Trail Blazers as a disappointment, and then Noel as a surprise start, to me, is the things that sort of stirred out in the first 14 days.
Yeah. For me, it's the Orlando Magic. I'm actually really surprised with their start. They're 5-2 right now. Like, whenever have you seen the Orlando Magic 5-2?
When Shaq and Penny were around?
Yeah. So I'm pretty surprised with their start. Definitely wasn't expecting that at all. Other than that, the next team that actually surprises me is the Brooklyn Nets. I thought the Brooklyn Nets would be in that number one spot right now. I'm surprised they're 4-4, I think.
Yeah, 4-4.
Yeah, 4-4. Yeah, and I mean, with the first couple of games, it seemed like the KD Kyrie thing is actually a thing, and they actually were clicking, and the ball was moving. They're sharing the ball. They're getting other guys involved. KD's getting his shots. He's getting into his spot, and he's making buckets. Kyrie he's doing his thing. So it seemed like they were actually meshing, but I'm really surprised to see they've won as much games or they've lost as much game as they've won. A little bit surprising.
I think, just to touch on that before Shannon jumps in, I think the four wins and the 4 losses have been completely 2 different teams, right? And then you throw in COVID with KD, and then I think load management on both of them. Right? And then losing Dinwiddie, to me, is an underrated loss. And I don't
Dinwiddie is a huge loss.
I don't think a lot of people are understanding what Dinwiddie means to that team. If Dinwiddie is to the Nets what you were saying earlier before we started, what Draymond Green is for the Golden State Warriors. Yeah. I think he stabilizes those 2 guys, and he don't get me wrong, I don't think KD needs help, but it doesn't hurt to have a Dinwiddie to sort of just do his thing
and take some pressure off.
Right. I don't believe that it makes Kevin Durant better, but it certainly doesn't hurt.
And he also stretches the floor too, because he can shoot it from far.
I think they'll be okay though. I think that this team is going to be a little bit. What they remind me of, Shannon? They remind me of the Tampa Bay Bucks, right? Like, they're trying to feel their way through the season until they get to a certain point, and then we just have to wait and see where they get to. With the exception of, I don't think Tampa's winning the Super Bowl, but I think Brooklyn has potential to.
And I mean, with the Brooklyn Nets, it's still a fairly new team, right? Basically, it's the first year they're playing together. So
well, with this elite team,
right? I mean, including with KD and Kyrie now, with the other guys playing together.
Until Kyrie decides to piss off everybody. But anyways,
until he goes back to thinking the earth is flat.
And there it is.
It's gonna be a whole different story.
Yeah, no kidding.
I just want to go. I know you guys said, or Mark, you said the Magic. I mean, they're 5-2, but I mean, they faced the Wizards twice, the Thunder, right? That's where they picked up 3 of their 5 wins. They played the Cavaliers, who started off well, but the Cavaliers also had an easy schedule. I'm happy to see. I want to see how they do coming up, because after tonight, they're going to win tonight too. They're up by They're up by almost 20 points over the Cavs, but they got the Rockets, Mavericks, Bucks, Celtics, and Nets over the next 6-7 games. That's a tough stretch for a team to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you might be getting the Nets on a back-to-back there, but still, that's a tough schedule to come up. But in terms of surprises, the one team I've been surprised with, I didn't think they would do as well as they have, the Philadelphia 76ers. They're 6-1, but it looks like Doc Rivers has that team gelling. They're playing very well. Embiid and Simmons look to be playing well together. They're getting a lot of contributions from Tobias Harris, who was absolutely atrocious last year.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He was absolutely horrible. It looks like the addition of Seth Curry has been playing dividends so far. He's been playing well in the starting
off the
lineup.
bench for now.
Even Danny Green today has 15 points.
Wait, who?
Yeah,
no.
right. Yeah,
Stop
Danny
this.
Green.
No.
Man, he's 5 for 8 from the 3-point line.
I think you're looking on Embiid points, bro.
No, I'm telling you.
Oh.
I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you.
Ooh, Lord.
But,
DG
yeah,
coming through.
they've been a team that's surprised me so far this season. I didn't think they would be as good as they have, especially with their schedule wasn't as easy as it looked. They had technically, I guess maybe it has. They got the Wizards, Knicks, Cavs, the Raptors, the Magic, the Hornets, and the Hornets back to back. So
schedule.
But they still won the games.
You
You
are what
gotta
your
win the
record
games.
shows.
Exactly.
You are what your record shows.
One player I've been impressed with was Christian Wood. I know, I said this in the podcast when we talked about the free agency. I said it was it was the most underrated signing of free agency.
Look it up, people. The man said it.
I did. He's paid dividends for Houston so far. He's averaging almost 24 points a game. He's averaging 10 rebounds a game, and he's shooting almost 56% from the field. It's a good pickup for the Rockets to fill out for Robert Covington, who didn't really have a good season last year for the Rockets, and it's given them a starting center who could start the game, and then with Boogie Cousins coming off the bench, who hasn't looked bad coming off the bench as well, but he's definitely one guy I've been surprised with. And another team are the Phoenix Suns. We all knew that, we knew that they would be a better team, but
man.
Come on, they would be this good.
I didn't think they would be this good in terms of defensively.
Really?
Defensively, they're arguably one of the best teams.
That's true.
In
They're actually
basketball.
top 10, I think, right?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting them to be as good as they were defensively. They're shooting the 3-point a lot more than they did last year, but they're top 5 in defensive rating this season in Phoenix. That Chris Paul, Devin Booker connection has worked out well. DeAndre Ayton has played well off the bench, I should say. And McCall Bridges, guy who stepped up so far through the first couple weeks of the season. He's played very well. But that's another team that's impressed me so far through the first 2 weeks of the season.
If he had his choice, he would have just said Phoenix for 15 minutes, and then we would have had to listen to
No.
He just left Phoenix for last, but he knew he was going to get there.
He knew it was happening.
I was contemplating. Smart. I was contemplating between them and the Pelicans.
Okay. Yeah.
But I have to go with the Suns.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
He had to.
I had to.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
One thing that before we even came onto this podcast, we had discussed it. Not discussed it, but I mentioned it. Nikola Jokic he's had an outstanding start to the season thus far. The Nuggets haven't been as good as he has been, but is he the best center in the NBA right now?
Okay, so can we just qualify that question? This is in the debates, they ask you to rephrase the question or something like that. Are we considering Anthony Davis as a 5?
That was my question too.
Yes.
Okay. Then the answer is no.
No.
Now, is the question, is he the best center in the NBA so far? Then the answer is yes.
Yeah.
I'm just going to cop out and say that, right? Listen, all joking aside, but I'm serious about Anthony Davis. I think he's still the best big man in the game. I'm looking at his entire, body of work. But I think that Jokic still doesn't get the appreciation he should. So if you're going to actually rephrase the question, he might be, and call me crazy, he might be actually one of the most underrated players or underappreciated players, pardon me, in the NBA. He's having a phenomenal start. I think he does pretty much a lot of the things that you want your big guy to do. He has a great core vision. He's basically what Marc Gasol was, minus the defense a little bit a few years back, right? He's great. But it's funny though, because his start has not translated into Denver's success either. Like it's kind of odd that he's here.
That's because it takes a team,
right? Well, of course,
not just one player,
of course, right? But in fairness, he has been phenomenal. I mean, if the MVP was being voted today, I think that he get tons of votes, but it's not. So we're not having that conversation right now. I'm not ready yet to crown my guy over here, your boy. And by the way, nice play on by wearing the hat as the number one big guy in the NBA just yet. Can he be? Yes, of course he can. Is it now? I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Starting the league right now, yes. Overall, it definitely is going to be a no, because as we just said, if you add AD to that in the equation there, then it's a completely different story. So yeah, I would say right now he's had a phenomenal start. He's playing great. He's doing what he needs to do. As we said, good. It's sad that the team hasn't really had such a great of a start as he does, but obviously it takes a team. It's a team sport, not just one player being great. Other than that, Chris Boucher would be winning all the games for the Raptors if it was like that, right? But yeah, hopefully he continues to play as good at it, and I feel like he will. But right now, yes, he is the best in the league right now. When we get asked, let's save this question for the second half of the season, and we'll go back and see.
Right. No, I agree. I agree with that.
And not because I'm wearing the hat.
It is.
No, honestly. But I'm going to say he's the best all-around center in the game. You're talking about a guy that averages a triple-double. He's probably arguably one of the best passing centers in the NBA, one of the best passers in the NBA in terms of finding open players, getting them, and they're not just easy passes where he's just passing off to a guy to shoot a three. Sometimes they're over his head, behind the back. You know what I mean? But he could do it all. He could step up behind the three-point line. He also shoots the ball efficiently. And this is not a knock to Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis. He's a beast out there. He does it all too. But I just think Nikola Jokic brings a lot more to the table in terms of offensively. He's always been the big knock on him has always been his defensive side of the ball. He looks to be a little bit better on that end this year so far. And his conditioning has always been an issue. But he looks a little bit better this year in terms of the way he's so far. But I do think Jokic is the best center in terms of all-around talent, in terms of being able to pass the ball, get on the boards, and score at an efficient pace as well. And he also gets to the free throw line as well. That's my opinion on it. I just think that he is.
So you see this face right here? This is what are you talking about? So let me ask you. So if you had, right, and you're going to hate this question, and this is the old cliche question. So if you're going to draft two guys, right, you have to draft one guy, and you have two choices. You're picking who?
Jokic.
No, you're not.
Did you have to think about that because you weren't sure?
No. No.
Come on, bro. Think
lie to
about
yourself.
it.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Are you
Take
getting
5
paid?
seconds and think about
Are you
that.
are
I'm
you on
not.
commission by that? Are you commissioned by all the Western teams?
No, I'm telling you. That's who I would.
Is this episode sponsored by Jokic? Because I feel like he paid you off.
No, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you guys. I'm telling you that's who I would pick.
Okay.
If I had the choice between Anthony Davis and Nikola Jokic, I would pick
Alright.
Nikola Jokic. If I had the chance
Alright.
if I had the chance to have both, I'd have both. But
You can't do that. You can't cheat.
Exactly. So I would choose Nikola Jokic over Anthony Davis. At this point in time, I just think like I said, I think he's a better all-around talent in terms of everything encompassed. He can pass the ball, he can shoot, he can get on the boards, and he's also very efficient at shooting the ball as well and putting the ball in the basket too and getting to the hoop.
So when you go apply for a job, the first two things that they look at is your resume, right? Right? No. Like let's just.
Yeah, but like
first of all, we all love our jobs. We're not. Anyways, it's not like low. But you look at the resume, right, and then you look at your accomplishments, right, and then you go down the list, and it's like, oh, he's experienced many years in the league, blah blah blah. He's working this job, but he's changed teams, and he wanted out of this team, and he was drafted by this team, and he's. So you're telling me you put the two resumes side to side, and you're still taking Jokic.
Yeah. Yes. And resume for what? What resume? What does Thing have on his resume? Other than a championship, other than AD, other than a championship, what does he have that Jokic doesn't have?
Listen, you guys can argue this. This is ridiculous.
I'm telling you though, but like that's where I would go. I'm telling you, I just don't think. Yeah, he may have a championship and defensive player of the year or be in the defensive player of the year category, but at the end of the day, Davis, yeah.
Okay, so let me do you the favor, okay? Because clearly you're drunk.
No, I'm not.
NBA champion, obviously. So we'll take that off the book, right? Like let's not use the chip as a cop out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's 7-time All-Star.
Okay.
Right, All-Star MVP, 4-time all-time NBA first team. 2-time defensive player of the year, 2-time second defensive player of the year, second team, 3-time block leader, NBA first rookie team. You won a championship in the NCAA. I'm not going to hold it up against, etc. Like this resume actually has 2 pages.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I mean, I don't know. Like I'm just saying, Davis has, they've had the talent. It's taken a little bit more time for Jokic to blossom in his career. He's played 3 seasons less than Anthony Davis. They've been to the playoffs 1 time less than each other. Right? So Jokic has been on 2 all-NBA teams. Yeah, he's not going to get on an all-NBA defensive team because he's not an NBA defensive player. He's not the best NBA defensive player like out there. But right now, at this point in time, Nikola Jokic has matured and grown over his 6 years. Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis. He's been that since the start of in year 1, and he's the same as he is now in year 9. I just would take Nikola Jokic over Anthony Davis due to the fact that Nikola Jokic can do a lot, not a lot more, but he's a good passer. And in this league, where it's gone to a non-big man league, you don't really need to have a big man to be like one of those power forward centers, big men that are just going to bully you down on the block, like Shaq back in the day. You need one of those guys that can pass the ball from beyond the 3-point line or at the key, who can get your point guard, your shooting guard, your small forward into the game. And Nikola Jokic is arguably one of the best passers, especially big men passers in the NBA, in my opinion. So like I said, that's my opinion. I mean, you guys don't have to agree with me, but
no, we don't.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And I respect your opinion, but let me just ask you the question.
No, you don't.
Let me just ask him the question one last time, just to get this clear.
Oh my goodness.
And let me ask you in a little bit of a different way too. 1v1, AD versus Jokic. Your PlayStation is on the line. Who you picking?
Well, obviously, I'm picking Davis at that point. If they're 1v1, I'm talking about, like I said, all-around talent in terms of a team atmosphere. Marco asked the question first about who would you take on your team?
Yeah.
Nikola Jokic would be the guy I would take on my team. If they're 1v1, obviously I'm taking Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is a guy that's going to bully you on the thing. Nikola Jokic isn't a good defensive player. Anthony Davis isn't that great of a passer, and he turns the ball over a lot. Right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, he's not a great passer. He's not a great passer. Yes, he gets on the boards.
Okay.
Yes, he puts the ball in the basket. Yes, he gets to
Okay.
the free throw line. And he's an all-star, and he's won an NBA title. Yes.
Let's because we are a group of the people, and we love the people, right? And we love the people. So what we're going to do is, you're the guru with this shit.
Exactly.
Right? Let's do the poll. Do the poll thing.
All right.
Do the poll thing.
Let's
and let the people decide if they had to choose. And we'll talk about the premise of the question.
And don't worry, I won't claim fraud.
And we'll let the people decide, and then next week we will settle this the way only grown adults can do it.
All right.
Which is over drinks on the podcast.
All right, I'm down for that.
So let's move
on.
I
think Shannon is too sober right now.
No, I'm. I'm telling you. I'm telling you, sober or not sober, I'd be the same answer.
At least he admits it.
Exactly. I'm telling you, that's who I'd be giving.
Let's keep the line rolling then.
We'll move on to a guy that's came back. He was off most of the season last year, and this season he's come back and he's been the same old player he was the last couple of years. Steph Curry, and the Golden State Warriors. There, Steph Curry came out. He's coming off of a 62-point game against the Portland Trailblazers. It's his first 60-point game of his career.
Easy 60. Easy.
Right? What do you guys think of Steph Curry this season, like coming back so far and how he's played and the Warriors and stuff like going forward and how they played this season?
I'll jump in. Never question what Steph Curry can do. It's crazy because you legit have people thinking that Steph is not the Steph back two seasons ago when he's doing crazy trick shots and hitting down shots from the logo and stuff like that. And the thing is, he heard the chatter and he took it personally, as he said.
Right.
When he mentioned that that MJ meme, he literally took it personally, and he came back and he showed you what he does and what he can do. But I think when it comes to Steph and Golden State, I think Steph is way ahead. His IQ is just too high for the guys he's playing with right now. And no disrespect to the guys, because other than Steph and Draymond and those foundation players, it's a bit of a young team. So I think his IQ is just way too ahead for the team he's on, which is why they were struggling without Draymond. Now that Draymond is back, he has that chemistry with Steph. He knows when Steph wants the ball. He knows when to give Steph the ball and where to give him the ball. So you see Steph now is having way better games. You watch games prior to Draymond, and Steph is making passes, and the other guys they're just not expecting like those passes or to get the ball at a certain time or a certain spot, and it ends up in a turnovers or stuff like that. But I mean, Steph is just a phenomenal player, man. He's still an elite player, and never forget that. Never question that at all when it comes to Steph Curry, because this guy can drop easy 60 on you at any time and walk off the court, drop mic like it's nothing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Where did you have Steph in your top 25?
As top 25 players?
Yeah. We did the list, right? I think it's out there, blah, blah, blah.
Hold on, let me go back, because I think I have it here.
If you have to look for it, then that means that you don't have him in the top 10. I guarantee you.
I think I did.
So while you do that, first of all, I think that Steph coming back to where he,
I had him at 6.
Yeah, he did.
6?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Okay.
Come on, guys. Steph.
I apologize. My bad.
Yeah, come on, man.
I think we all had him in the top 10, to be honest.
I had him at 6.
Did I have him?
You had him in your top 10 too.
Was I drunk?
Maybe you might have been, but no, he was in your
you
top 10.
You had him at like 9
First of all,
or something.
That's a high possibility.
He was in your top 10, that's for sure.
Okay. So, in all joking aside, first of all, I think it's great for the game to see Steph at least flashes of, because it hasn't been right off the get-go, but I think that now he's getting his legs under him, right? At the end of the day, whether you're a State fan or not, I think it's good for the game to have a guy like Steph just go off at any given game.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I think that Draymond Green is acting as his buffer, as usually he is, and creating space for him. Because I think that's an underrated point that you made, that the other guys don't have that camaraderie yet. I don't trust Wiggins, but I mean, that's a whole other personal story. I mean, that has nothing to do with it. But yeah, I think it goes to show you that the next time somebody tells you that training camp doesn't matter, slap them, because there's obviously a chemistry between Steph and Draymond, regardless of whether you like Draymond or not. And it's kind of funny that the success of Steph has sort of coincided with Draymond's return, right? Kind of funny, right? So that's a good point. So am I surprised that he's having this success? A little bit, because I thought it would take him a little bit longer to sort of get going. But how he got it, I'm not surprised, because now of who he's playing with, right?
But remember, he came back last season too, right?
Right, but I don't think, in fairness, last year when he came back, he was 100%.
Yeah, true.
Right, I don't think so. And I think, and if you guys remember, if I'm not mistaken, when he came back in the first game, if I'm not mistaken, actually was against the Raptors that he came back. There was that Thursday night game on TNT.
Yes.
Right, he looked okay. Yeah. Right, but then once they were officially, if I'm not mistaken, eliminated, or basically they just sat him to protect him because he wasn't 100%.
Yeah.
Right, and there was a rumor that he may have gotten COVID, which ended up being false. But yeah, I think it's great, because I think that, whether you like Steph or not, I think he's good for the game, and a lot of people follow him, and it's good to see him. What does that mean for Golden State? I don't think it changes anything. I think they're still what they are, which is 4-3 or whatever they are, and I think they'll hover around that 500 mark for most of the year, because as good as Steph is with Draymond, they still are short another guy.
Yeah.
And you guys know who that other guy is.
Yeah, KT.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I thought you said KD. Okay.
No,
KT. Yes, exactly.
Clay. I should have just said Clay.
Yeah, I mean, Steph is Steph. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody figured that's what he was going to do. He's going to come back and play the way Steph played the year prior to that, where he was just putting up points left, right, and center, and he does it again. He can hit shots from basically wherever, with people all over him, people under him, whatever. He's Steph Curry is just Steph Curry. I mean, there's no questioning how good Steph Curry is. And if people are questioning how good Steph Curry is, or how good Steph Curry was going to be this year, they need to give their head a shake, because Steph Curry is arguably one of the best players in the NBA when he's healthy.
In the NBA, right?
For sure, hands down. Hands down.
Play, right.
He's definitely one of the best players in the NBA when he's healthy.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on from Steph Curry and back to the Raptors, just to close out the podcast here. Raptor fans, Toronto fans, sports fans in general, they're fickle beasts. They get one thing goes wrong and they start calling for the firing squad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Masai Ujiri is one of them, and a lot of people believe in Masai Ujiri. The coin phrase "in Masai we trust" and stuff like that has been thrown around. But Toronto fans, Raptor fans now are calling for Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster to be fired. There's columnists writing about blaming it on those two. So Marco, I'll let you get into this one, and I know since you were the one that has been vocal about this over the last week or so.
We'll just sit back and listen to you, Mark.
Listen, I'm not going to go on a Stephen A. Smith rant or any nonsense like that. But I will say I'm a little bit disappointed, but not surprised, I guess, if I can contradict myself in the same sentence, because I've seen this from fans in this city. I've seen it with the Jays. I've seen it I'm not a Leaf fan, but I've seen it with the Toronto Maple Leafs and et cetera, et cetera. I'm just surprised that the tide has turned so quickly, because 3 weeks ago, before the season started, or even a week, 4 weeks ago, whatever it was, when we lost, when the Raptors lost, Gasol and Ibaka, people were disappointed that Ibaka left and Gasol. Basically, everybody said, okay, whatever. And they signed Aaron Baines. This was an excitement that this team would be hardworking, and Masai, under the radar move, and Alex Len, again, a guy who can succeed in a development system, because Masai and Bobby know what they're doing, and Nick Nurse, coach of the year. So now they're 1-5. And now all of a sudden, everybody who did the thing with Masai, in Masai we trust, and Bobby's great, and this and that, they want him out. They literally are saying, well, good luck in New York next year. Or he's out of there, and maybe it's, Masai should look in the mirror for getting Alex Len and Aaron Baines and playing Terrence Davis and this, that, and the other. It's like, yo, what are we talking about here? So all of a sudden we were spoiled for a few years, right? And and then there's a dip, right? You want to see a dip? Go watch the Golden State Warriors film from last year. That's a friggin' dip and a half, right?
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, this fan base has turned 6 games in to like such a toxic fan base. And all joking aside, I mean, some of the stuff is kind of ridiculous. Like turning in Masai and Bobby is one thing, which is still embarrassing. But then going after Pascal Siakam, not from a basketball perspective, but from other points that I'm not even going to bother mentioning, right? And et cetera, like, to me, is a bit ignorant. Actually, it's a lot ignorant. It shows that there's still some fans that need to grow the hell up. And, I've been accused in the past of being a bit of a homer and defending the Raptors and this and that. No, trust me, if you guys have had conversations with me and Mark, we've had conversations for a long time as well about the Raptors. I'm the first one to call them for what they are and how they play, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah.
Right.
But to, take it personal against players and families and this and that, to me is embarrassing. And people, I know they hide behind Twitter and Facebook and all the social media stuff because nobody has the balls to actually say anything. I have no problem with people saying, Pascal is not playing well. He needs to, smarten up, and Norm Powell, this and that. That's basketball constructive criticism, but don't go out of line, because nobody wants
to get into
show up to you. Nobody wants people to show up to your house and say you do a shitty job at your work when you've been working your ass off. You don't know what the circumstances are, right? And as far as Masai and Bobby, listen, if I trust anybody in life right now to run a basketball organization, it's them, right? They obviously made the moves based on what they had to work with, and it's up to the players to execute, and they haven't executed yet, right? And yes, Pascal Siakam's based on his contract. He has not played up to that contract yet.
Yeah, and let me just jump in here. Raptors fans, you're not getting James Harden. So stop sitting there for thinking that you're getting James Harden and Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster sitting on their hands with a deal in place. It's not happening. They're not getting James Harden. So this is the team you have.
Deal with it.
Deal with it.
Yeah, and
can't always win too. You can't always win.
Listen, and here's the funny part. Like, and I think it's people sometimes confuse, oh, well, we can't win this and that, and you're defending. No, it's not about that, but it's also about common sense. And to your point, like, you're not getting James Harden. If you wanted to trade Pascal Siakam, you know what the absolute worst time to do it is? Now. Because Pascal Siakam's value is so stupid low that why would Houston say, yeah, we'll take it?
Yeah.
No, and like you just don't do it that way. It just doesn't work that way. Houston's not going to want a guy who's been exposed at this time, or they want to buy low. That's fine, but then you're just probably going to get gypped, right? Yeah. They're going to want something else and something else on top of the something else plus something else, right? And then you get James Harden for 2 years, and then he dips, right? Yeah. So
I've seen
the same reason, and sorry, I know you'll want to jump in, the same reason that, everybody was bitching about, oh, nobody gives us the respect in Toronto, oh, we're Canadian, and all this and that. Now you want to boot everybody out. Oh, nobody wants to come here and this and that. Okay, well, stop bitching. That's my rant. So Raptor fans, grow up. Some of you.
I've seen some crazy trade scenarios for James Harden, and I just sit there and shake my head like, are you stupid?
Yes.
Like Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Norm Powell for plus picks for James Harden. Are you dumb?
So who else is going to play for the Raptors?
Are you stupid or are you dumb? Which one? Because that's legit the worst trade scenarios I've ever seen.
It's panic. And people do that. And I'm sorry, and this is going to sound really bad, but I'm going to use this analogy. And I'm going to use Pascal Siakam as a sacrificial lamb. He reminds me of, if anybody, any of our watchers or listeners know the Leafs, of Larry Murphy. Larry Murphy came into the city as, and by the way, he's in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying that Pascal's a Hall of Famer, but I'm saying this guy was a solid player. And Larry Murphy got literally booed out of this city. And by the way, he won a championship after he left.
Yep.
But people were impatient because he, at that time, that team wasn't constructed to his strengths. He was an older guy, this and that. I'm not saying that they're similar, but I'm just saying the toxic environment that these fans are like, they take life too seriously. You got to chill out, man. Like, relax.
It's Toronto fans, man. It doesn't matter what team it is, whether it's the Blue Jays, Raptors, Toronto FC, or the Raptors. It's the same thing. Once
they lose 2 games, they just lose their mind.
Yeah, man. This team wins 6 games in a row. They're going to go out on social media and rip every single team in the NBA for doubting them.
Yeah, sign Masai. Sign Masai. Why are you guys not signing Masai? That's what'll be happening next. I'm telling you.
They actually sound like that. That's
exactly. Like literally. Richard Petty, why haven't you signed MLSC? Why haven't you signed Masai Ujiri yet? Where's Bobby Webster? Where's his extension? That's literally what it is. I'm telling you.
It's a confused fan base, man. They're confused.
They're insecure.
And see, the thing is, a lot of these guys, they don't really understand the sport or game of basketball. They don't really. They're only watching the Raptors now because we're in a lockdown and there's nothing else to do. That's the only reason. But they don't really understand the sport, and like you can't expect to be winning all the time. It doesn't work like that. No matter how good the team is. Look at the Portland Trail Blazers last season. They had a really horrible start, and they made the playoffs.
Right. The only difference, and you can argue from a basketball perspective, is the Trailblazers have a closer, and that's Damian Lillard, right?
Yeah.
Right now, as it stands, the Raptors don't have that. But overall, as it's constructed last year, if you compare it, the team was built a little bit more success on the defensive side, right? With the Trailblazers, and I said this last year before the restart of the bubble, their Achilles heel was their defense.
Yeah.
Right? So right now, the Raptors are not playing to their strength. So everybody just needs to chill. Now, if the Raptors are 10 games under 500 between now and March or whatever it is, the conversation has to change.
Yeah.
But I'm not saying that they have to go tank nation for the next 4 years. No, teams are going to go through their ebbs and flows, man.
Right now, with the team that the Raptors have, if Pascal would just step his game up, and because I think he's averaging 15 points right now per game.
Yeah, he's below his last year's average.
Yeah, if just step that up, and the Raptors are okay. They haven't really gotten blown out. They're losing games by 2-3 points.
Outside of Boston,
outside of that game. So if Pascal would, and again, OG, if Pascal and OG, these 2 key players, would just step their game up, the Raptors are okay.
Yeah. No, and that's and I agree with you on that. I mean, if things go the opposite way and the Raptors continue sliding, I don't know if they have a first-round pick or not this year, but this draft is arguably one of the deepest drafts in the NBA this year. There's a lot of talent coming out of that draft. Jalen Suggs and just to name one. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of talent in this draft. So at the end of the day, it's not horrible if they do stink the bed or tank the bed the rest of the year. It's a shortened season. They're not playing at home. They're playing in Tampa, right? So they're not losing the gate revenue in terms of like losing a ton of it. They're not playing at home. If any year was a year for them to suck, this might be the year for them to do it.
Right. And just to premise that, just to jump on that, they're not losing on purpose.
No, exactly.
These people keep thinking, oh, the Raptors are just tanking.
No.
Nobody said
No.
that at training camp, so shut the hell up.
First of all, if there's a team in the NBA that's going to tank, it's not the Raptors. Not
Correct.
with Masai Ujiri as
Exactly.
the
And if the Raptors feel like they need to make moves between now and March based on setting themselves up for the future, because first of all, they already have a lot of cap space to work with the following year, then they'll do accordingly, which means that they'll do moves that make sense, i.e. Kyle Lowry, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
Expiring contracts, but they're not going to tank right now.
Exactly. And that's, like I said, if you give maybe another 15, 20 games and they're 5-20, okay, well, the odds of them changing it in 50 some odd games is going to be slim, right? But and then you might see, like you said, Kyle Lowry being traded.
But they'll make basketball moves.
Exactly.
Right?
They'll make basketball moves in terms of, but like I said, this year might be the year. Not might be the year, but if it's the year that they struggle this year, they struggle.
Yeah.
This
played well.
This could be the year that they can do it, and I wouldn't be upset by it. That, like I said, they're playing in Tampa. They're not playing at home in front of Raptor fans. They're COVID's around. It's still going on and stuff like that. They haven't started off the season well. So, and like I said, the draft is stacked this year. Plus, they have cap space to work with. It may not be a stacked free agent class, but there's talent out there. So you have the money to do it. They can do it. It's just now but that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't panic just yet. Be patient. And that's Toronto fans. Toronto fans don't have patience. They never have patience.
I'm sure that nobody in Denver is trying to trade Jamal Murray.
No.
Not at 3 and 4. So relax.
Yeah. It's still early.
By the way, before we go, unfortunately, news that Marcus Fultz is out for the season.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Really?
Tore his ACL, yeah.
That's really
damn.
Really crappy, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Hopefully he can recover from it and
man,
be back.
This kid cannot catch a break.
He can't.
He literally can't.
Can't catch a break.
That's a downer to end.
It's just injury after injury after injury.
But I think that we all expected injuries to sort of be, headliners during this short and weird pandemic season. So I'm not surprised. It's unfortunate, but poor kid, man. He was having a rebirth in his career in Orlando.
Yeah.
And one thing I must say though, that John Wall trade is panned out well for the Houston Rockets. Man, he's 21 points a game. He looks like he's back to his old self. He had 28 points tonight as well.
I'm eating crow.
Well, and that it's still early in the season, but it looks
so far,
like exactly.
I'm not going to draft the apology letter yet, but I'll start buying the paper.
Hey, I took a risk on him in my fantasy team, and he's paid off well for me. So hey, you know what?
Oh, there you go.
Exactly.
And somehow he managed to add something about himself. And there you go, folks. Attaboy.
Just go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Shout out to Jay-Z.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Basketball Lab podcast. Thanks for joining us this week on the Basketball Lab podcast. Make sure to follow us on our social media. You could follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the B-Ball Lab. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Basketball Lab Podcast, and you could also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon Music.